Does it sometimes feel like there's something wrong with your painting, but you're not quite sure what it is? Chances are you are trying to do too much in your painting. So in today's video, I want you to improve your paintings by doing less. Yes, by doing less. Let me explain. How do I choose what to paint and what to leave out when looking at a detailed landscape scene? How will I know what's important when there's so many beautiful elements to choose from? Because adding too many details, too many elements to your painting can make them feel too busy or too scattered or maybe even confusing. The problem here is that you're probably trying to say too much, trying to include too much in one painting. Well, is that even possible, you may ask? Yes, I believe it is. Adding a ton of detail, for example, is not necessarily going to make your painting better. We think that it will, but it is rarely the case. Fewer elements can actually be a strength, and it's how you choose to portray those elements that makes all the difference. So simplicity is elegant, and elegance is timeless. So instead of including everything and all the elements, choose 2 to 3 elements to focus on in your painting and focus on those only. You can also set limitations for yourself. You could also call it a framework if you don't like the word limitations. For this painting, or these two panoramic seascapes, I have chosen 3 things that inspired me the most about this trip to the seaside. And I want to focus on trying to capture 3 things in my paintings. I made another video about this, so if you want to get even more insights and training on this subject, I'll leave a link to that at the end of the video. But for these paintings, my main inspiration from the beach that day were the strong light on the water, so very strong contrast. And there were these sun-bleached reeds and grasses along the beach. I really liked the movement and the washed out color. I also really liked the rocks with lichen on them. I love that strong yellow color against the dark neutral colors of the rocks. So today the painting is going to be all about trying to include these elements and focus on those. One of my favorite ways to get harmonious colors is using a limited palette. So using a limited number of colors. Here I chose to work with 2 different yellow colors, cadmium yellow medium and yellow ochre, and 2 different blue colors, cobalt blue and turquoise, along with black and white. If you find limiting your colors helpful, I want to direct you to my free guide called 5 Proven Ways to Loosen Up Your Painting Style. See the link below this video. In the guide, I talk about the 5 most transformative ways to loosen up and strengthen your paintings. Limiting your color is just one of the concepts. So download the free guide if you haven't already and start implementing the steps to improve and move forward on your painting journey. So here I started working on getting the look and the feel of the lichen on the rocks. I'm working on getting some contrast, so some of those bright yellow colors versus the more neutralized colors of the rocks. and I'm going for a loose and semi-abstract feel. I found out using the kitchen towel actually made kind of an interesting pattern when dabbing it onto the paint. Sometimes things they happen when you're just working and trying out some things, so please go ahead and play once in a while. It's all part of loosening up and enjoying the process. And of course, if it doesn't work out, we can always paint it over. That's the wonderful thing about acrylics. So here, the second thing that I wanted to focus on trying to capture in the two paintings, it were those dry, sun-bleached reed type of grasses. I absolutely love the neutral colors of those grasses and the pattern of light and dark they make when they move and when they cast their shadows on the sand. I also love the sound of them when they move in the wind. Unfortunately, I can't show you today because it was quite a windy day and all I got on the video was the wind blowing into the microphone. So I'm going to spare you for that and just show you the photographs. Here I'm trying to decide where I want that very strong contrast of the sun hitting the water. I realize that I'm going to have to make either the water or the sky a lot darker for this contrast to show up. So if I just paint white light onto the water here as it is, it won't show up. So I need some contrast. So I'm mixing up a darker color. I'm gonna put that in the sky and a bit in the water so that when I go back with some highlights, some very light colored paint to paint those sun patterns of sun spots. Is that what they're called? Sun. Yeah. Anyway, I need some contrasting dark color for those light colors to really show up in the painting. So that's what I'm going to do here. And of course, this is two abstracted versions of the landscape that I saw. I'm not trying to be very realistic here. So we can play with things like that. The color of the sky, of course, was never this dark, at least not when I was there. But this is what I decided that I wanted to try out. I'm going to mix up a slightly grayish blue color here to make a softer transition in the sky from the left hand side where the sky is very dark going to the right hand side. I want more of a gradual transitional color, just so that the focus doesn't go there when we look at the painting. So I'm going to tone that down and then going in with some of those highlights on the water. There's still a little bit too much contrast here in the sky, so I'm just going to adjust that to tone down that value contrast a bit and even out the tone of the sky. I'll even take a little bit of that same blue color and lightly glaze on top of the yellow part of the sky to harmonize the colors and to integrate it a little bit better. I like the yellow color in the sky, so I don't want to paint it over completely. I want it still showing through. Just repainting the sun patterns or the highlights on the water there. I want to do a little bit more on the sky up here. I'm using a dry brush technique, so a very dry brush and very little paint on it, and then I'm kind of scumbling on top to get that gradual effect that I'm looking for. I tend to prefer several thin layers with little paint than trying to get the right shade or color in one go. That might also be liberating or freeing to you. Don't think you have to get it in the first go or else you're a failure. No. This is a lot of times trying to adjust things as we go. It's quite normal and usually results in better paintings too. And it definitely improves our way of mixing colors. So don't ever think that you're wasting your time or wasting materials. I'm going to take some of this warm gray and mix it into the sky. In fact, a lot of times I like to use the colors I mix in different parts of the painting. It's another way that can help to kind of unify and tie the painting together. When I was at the beach, I saw this small bay, and I would like to kind of give the painting a bit of depth by incorporating that. It wasn't my plan initially, but I just remembered that I liked it. So I'm going to try and see what happens and see if I can get it working on the upper painting here. I'm going to use the end of the brush to scrape into the paint to get that sense of the dry grasses. And that effect of the sunlight on the water, I feel I can make that contrast even stronger if I make the area around the bay a little bit darker. So I'm going to mix up some darker colors around that area. I'm fairly pleased with the foreground on this one, and I think if I enhance some of the water behind these rocks, I'll get a really nice sense of sunshine on water, and I'll also create a bit depth and definition around these rocks. I want to lighten the sky up here because I don't want it being too heavy. So adding some different shades of very kind of warm gray to the sky. I can still maintain sort of a sunny feeling without it being this cliche blue sky with a big yellow sun. Time to remove the tape and take a look. So to sum up the tip of the day, focus on 2 to 3 things in your paintings, no more than that, and you'll start to create stronger and better paintings. If you like this way of painting, don't forget to go and get your copy of the free loose painting guide via the link below this video. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next video.